Hello, and this is 16.2 Techniques of a Coach. In every sport, each sport, there is multiple techniques used by coaches that affect the performance of athletes, whether it's in a team or an individual, to improve technique or anything the coach wants to improve. And this includes goal setting, demonstration, and instruction. The first one, goal setting. This is normally used to increase the commitment levels to achieving the goals. It increases motivation for the athletes or the team to increase the goals as it's something to work towards, whether it is for an individual or a team. It means that they have something that they can reach to improve a technique or anything else. This can be split into short-term, medium-term and long-term goals. So different time frames for the goals means that, so for example, if it's only a long-term goal, then they might get bored and go off task and lose focus on the goal, which means they won't improve at all. So using these, it means they'll improve over the whole time. So a short-term goal, this is obviously a short term. So for example, in a session of training, so the goal could be, for example, in football, to be able to complete 20 passes in one game. And that short term is it's only in one game and there's not more than one thing and one time you need to work on it. A medium-term goal, so once the short-term goal is done, could be to be top 4 in the league by Christmas, for example. So that's something to work towards in a bit of a longer time. And a long-term goal is obviously longer, so for example, the whole season to win the cup. And this is something they can work towards the whole time with the short-term and the medium-term goals at the same time. And every goal needs to be smarter, so it needs to be specific to the sport. So for example, if you're playing football, you can't say, oh, my goal for my team is for them to score 20 baskets in one game, because that's basketball and it isn't specific to the sport. And there needs to be a method, so where the progress is tracked. So for example, tallying down the passes for the short term in one game, or tracking their position in the league. And all goals need to be accepted, so they need to be all involved with the coach and the team, for example, and it needs to be negotiated with everyone, so everyone has an input. The goal also needs to be realistic, so it needs to be challenging but reachable, because if you had a target that's not reachable, it will just demotivate the players and they won't be committed to achieving the goal. It also needs to have a time frame, so something to work to, and this can show good work ethic, so they're constantly working and know what they're working towards and how long they have to do it. There also needs to be an element of excitement, so the athlete or the team are motivated, because if it's a boring goal, then they might just lose focus and won't want to do it. And it also needs to be recorded, so they can track progression for how they're progressing in the goal. When setting goals, you need to consider the ability of a team or the individual. So if they're, for example, a novice learner, you wouldn't set them a goal to be able to do 40 keepy uppies by the end of a session. This would be more appropriate for a elite athlete. You also need to consider whether it's a team or an individual goal. So setting the goal for a team would be a lot different to setting it for an individual. And you also need to consider the environment the performer is in. So these goal setting is effective because it provides motivation for the team or the athlete and something for them to work towards. It also helps increase confidence as they know what they're looking to improve, so there's no doubt about what they need to do. These could be ineffective is if you set unrealistic goals and unachievable goals, because they just won't have the motivation to work to it because they know they won't be able to get there. And it's also ineffective if there's too many goals for them to complete, so they get off task and don't know what exactly they're doing because there's too many for them to reach. Next is demonstration. So this is the coach giving a visual action on performance. For example, showing them what to do instead of just telling them. So this provides a mental picture for the athletes so they can go away and work on it because they know what it looks like and what to do. Most cases are used in conjunction with verbal feedback, so while they are demonstrating, they're also telling the athletes what they need to do and how to do it. But here, you need to consider the type of learners, because, for example, with an autonomous learner, their easiest way of learning is through verbal, so this wouldn't be as helpful because they wouldn't like sort of the demonstration part of it. But with a cognitive learner, they find it easier to learn through visual things such as demonstrations, so that would be effective. So it would be effective for a cognitive learner, and also be effective because it can be repeated as many times as you need, and it's also effective in small groups so everyone can see what you're doing and how you're demonstrating. But again, it can be ineffective for an autonomous learner, as they're more they find it easier with verbal learning. It could be ineffective if it's poor quality, so it's not demonstrated well and easily to understand, and if it's the wrong technique as well. It's also ineffective if the athletes can't see, so if it's crowded and people can't see, then they're not going to see the demonstration. It'll be ineffective. Also, verbal communication is required, so if no verbal communication, the athletes won't know exactly what you want from them, and then that will be ineffective as well. So technical instruction, this is like verbal communication to convey a technique or a skill. So this is where there's no physical input, just verbal, so there's no demonstration or anything, it's just telling you what to do. And this is only verbal, so it's just the coach talking to the athletes. Here you need to think about the type of learner again. So if it's an autonomous learner, this will probably be better because they just find it easier to do it through talking. But if it's a cognitive learner, they might need other aids such as demonstration, which would be more effective. Technical instruction is effective, it's clear and concise, and for elite performance especially, it would be effective as they already have the base knowledge and all of the techniques, already they know how to do them. And also there's limited coaching points, so you don't need to go into much detail for them. But it's ineffective as it may be a bit complicated for novice performers, as they may not have the techniques locked down. And if there's too many coaching points as well, then they might lose track and forget some of them. So to conclude, so all these different coaching techniques can improve the effectiveness and decrease the effectiveness due to the decisions they make. And it also depends on the environment and the type of learner, and also depending on what decision you make, the right decision technique can improve, but the bad decision means it can be ineffective and means the learner and the athletes won't learn. Thanks.